As a mother, wherever you live in the world, it is a natural instinct to feed and protect your children. For Morsheda living in Bangladesh, it's a daily battle.
Water came in from all directions. Slowly, slowly, the floodwater rose up to our beds. Now it's difficult to live here. It's terrible. We cannot stay here. If the floodwater shuts the door, I'm scared we won't be able to get out. The water could rise up to the children's faces and drown them.
Over 5 million people live on silt islands off the mainland known as chars. These islands, created by sediment from the Brahmaputra River, are at constant risk of river erosion and flooding.
The river is like the angel of death. It destroys everything. It leaves nothing untouched.
4 times our home collapsed and the land underneath washed away. 4 times our home went.
In one of the most densely populated and disaster-prone countries in the world, the chars provide a precarious homeland for the poorest of the poor, those with nowhere else to live. With no infrastructure or government services, women like Morsheda live a life of chronic insecurity.
I can't cry in front of my children. I cry secretly so they don't see me. Any mother would understand the pain in my heart.
Flooding here is often extreme. Life by the water's edge is never safe. The river is a murky, filthy breeding ground for diseases, insects and snakes, and climate change is wreaking havoc here. Morsheda and her children have faced a dangerous ordeal, time and again.
My son was asleep on the bed when I heard a splash. I saw ripples on the water, so I knew he'd fallen in. I ran to drag him out of the water. If I hadn't, he would have died.
Morsheda earns as little as 74 pence a day in order to feed her children 1 meal a day. But no matter how hard she toils, her hopes are swept away by constant floods. It is possible to help Morsheda begin a new life. Christian Aid and its partner GUK have been providing vital support to people here. 4 years ago, Feroza and her husband were suffering similar chronic hardship, but their lives have been transformed.
As a result of Christian Aid's help, our lives have changed for the better. I feel so much happiness because this help has transformed our lives. Please take this message of thanks home with you.
Feroza was given a home safety package by Christian Aid, a small grant to buy livestock and seeds, and, most crucially, the resources to raise the level of her land so that her home stands above the water. Today, despite desperate flooding, her family and her home stay safe.
Now we are wealthy. We don't suffer, but our neighbours starve and die in the floods.
Years ago, her husband had to work on the mainland for weeks on end, barely managing to survive or support his family. But today, life is very different.
I would work hard all day, but worrying about my family kept me awake all night. Now I don't have any of that worry, and my life is full of enjoyment.
I don't feel sad anymore for me and my family, but I feel devastated for my neighbours who've been left with nothing. I ask for help so that my neighbours' homesteads can be raised up like mine.
Feroza lives close to Morsheda, but their worlds are far apart. Whilst Feroza is thriving, Morsheda still lives in fear for her home and her family.
I pray to God, don't put us in such a difficult position by making us move from one place to another, because there's no greater pain than this. Those of us who have no help, we suffer the greatest pain.
Help us to raise Morsheda's home before the next flood strikes.
Do worms make you squirm? How about the idea of picking up cow dung with your hands? Keep watching and I'll show you how worms and dung can be very useful, as these children will tell you.
My name is Mohammed Farad. I'm going to tell you about something fun.
My name is Juti Akhtar and I am 11 years old. I don't fear anything.
The children, and we worms too, live in Bangladesh, where it's hot and rainy. Many parts of the country suffer from floods, which are getting worse because global warming is changing the climate. Farad and Juti live on an island in the middle of a big river. Life is very hard for people here because they're worried that there'll be more floods, and also because there are no roads and there's no electricity on the island. They can't buy things from the shops, so they grow their own food, and the soil there isn't always good for growing things. What is good for growing things is compost, and that's why worms and dung are so important. That's me.
I like this worm.
I don't like the slithering feeling.
This is the cow dung. We use it to produce compost.
I am now going to show you how to make the compost.
Now my mum is mixing the cow dung.
This is where we come in. We're dropped into the bowl of dung.
I will put cow dung inside the bowl so the worms multiply.
Okay, let's multiply.
We're going to cover it properly with the lid so that the birds don't eat the worms.
It only takes us a few weeks to turn this soil into compost, which is fantastic food for plants.
We use the compost to seed the plants. It's great fun growing this, and it makes the vegetables grow faster.
We grow many vegetables, such as spinach, okra, carrots and tomatoes. And we also sell some of the compost.
We use some of the compost to grow this type of vegetable. The name of the vegetable is jinga. I like it very much.
The one I like most is tomatoes.
So you can see how useful we worms are, especially for people living on an island in the middle of a river where it's difficult to grow food. Christian Aid is a charity that helps people all over the world when things are difficult. In Bangladesh, they give thousands of worms to people living on the islands and show them how to use worms to help turn cow dung into brilliant compost. Without it, these people might not be able to grow enough food to eat. Aren't worms wonderful?
La la dee, la dee da.